Do you suffer from fatigue, muscle aches, muscle cramps, trouble sleeping, insomnia, swelling, and even hair falling out? Well, did you know all of these things can be symptoms of electrolyte imbalance? In this video, I'm going to tell you everything I wish I knew about electrolytes when I started a low-carb lifestyle 3 years ago, so stay tuned. Welcome back, my friends. My name is Sarah. I am known as Carnivore Yogi. Thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. Today, I'm going to discuss electrolytes and electrolyte imbalance, which is something I see a lot of people struggling with when they begin to follow a keto, carnivore, or low-carb lifestyle, or even just implement fasting into their routine. Before I get into today's video, I want to put out a little disclaimer. This is not medical advice. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, especially severely, please do work with a doctor or a healthcare provider. The second thing I want to do is thank the sponsor of today's video, which is going to be Upgraded Formulas. Now, I have used Upgraded Formulas supplements as well as their hair tissue mineral analysis to keep track of my own mineral needs. What's really unique about Upgraded Formulas is you can send in a sample of your hair. Hair is a lot more accurate than blood because it's actually showing what the tissues of your body are absorbing. So I recommend to all of my clients, and it's something that I get every 90 days, a hair tissue mineral analysis with a consultation so that you can really customize your mineral supplementation. So you can use my code YOGI and use the link in the information section below to go to Upgraded Formulas and save 10% on anything that is not a subscription. Again, discount code is YOGI. Thanks again to Upgraded Formulas for sponsoring today's video. Okay, so let's jump into electrolytes and some of the most commonly asked questions that I get. Number one question that I get is, why do we need to pay more attention to our electrolytes when we go on a low-carb, carnivore, keto, or even just add fasting into our life? And that is because our insulin goes down. And when we are in a low insulin state, our need for these minerals, especially sodium, goes up. When we are eating carbohydrates, our body holds on to more water, and the water is how the minerals get delivered to the cells. So the solution is not necessarily to eat carbohydrates because our soil is also extremely depleted. So even though you may be eating carbohydrates and thinking you're getting enough of these minerals, you're just not experiencing a lot of the symptoms because your body is not losing tons of water. So again, getting a hair tissue mineral analysis to know, even if you're eating carbohydrates, you could be very depleted in minerals. And this could be leading to a host of other issues, including things like insomnia and anxiety. The amount of electrolytes that we need. Now, this is going to be different from person to person. Most people are going to need to add salt to their food. I really do like Redmond salt. I will link this in the information section below for you guys. Most people are going to need to salt their food, and some people are going to need to add even more sodium. So one of the things I like to do for sodium is make my own Soleil water. I have all my ingredients over here. This is a salt crystal from Redmond's Real Salt. You have to buy it off of their website. And then this is just a glass mason jar with a plastic lid. You want to use a plastic lid because the metal lid will corrode. You also, when you are measuring out your Soleil water, want to use a plastic spoon again because that metal will corrode. But the way I make my Soleil water, which is basically how I supplement extra sodium into my diet that is outside of salting my food to taste, is I take one of these crystals and I put it in the jar. It should come to about here, and then the rest of the jar is filled with a nice spring water. I put the cap on, leave it on the countertop overnight, and voila, the next morning your Soleil water is ready to go. I do probably about 3 teaspoons of the Soleil water per day. If I'm not doing Soleil water, I'm doing about 3 teaspoons of salt. Now, these are amounts for me. I cannot tell you exactly how much you need. That could be too much for you. If you're getting too much sodium, you're going to experience swelling and excess urination, and it can also knock down your potassium levels, which is something I really experienced quite a bit of when I was doing carnivore diet the first year without really understanding anything about these minerals. I would get face swelling, I would have excess urination, and it was because I was getting too much sodium without enough potassium to balance that out. So these minerals work in conjunction with one another. Sodium and potassium work together, magnesium and calcium work together. This is why if you are going to invest in that hair tissue mineral analysis with upgraded formulas, I really strongly recommend getting a consultation, because they're going to be able to explain to you these charts of your minerals coming back. The other thing that's helpful about getting a hair tissue mineral analysis is to understand your mineral metabolism. Now, I happen to be a fast metabolizer, which means I burn through things very, very quickly. That's only about 20% of the population. The other 80% of the population, and honestly, I've only had one client that has come back as a fast metabolizer out of all the clients I've worked with, but 80% of people are slow metabolizers, so they don't burn through these things as quick, and your severity of slow versus fast is going to be different. So there are people that cannot tolerate tons and tons of sodium, of extra sodium. I didn't believe it at first, but after working with people and then having a couple of friends myself that are in this carnivore community and keto community that really can't tolerate a lot of extra sodium, they're severely slow metabolizers, so their body just has this ability to hang on to it more. So I know that's a lot, guys, but essentially we do need to add sodium if we are doing this diet with a low insulin state. The next thing is potassium. And I do have a question that I got on my YouTube channel and I get this a lot: do we actually need 4,700 milligrams of potassium? The answer for most of my clients and myself is no, definitely not. One dropper, and I do like these droppers of potassium. It's liquid, so you can kind of microdose it yourself. So I actually do about 6 dropperfuls a day of this potassium. And just for your knowledge, 2 droppers is 97 milligrams of potassium. Some days I may do a little bit more potassium if I'm sweating more, but I know that I need it because I will get a little heart palpitation, or I will get muscle cramps, mostly in my calf muscles. That's how I know I need to add a little more potassium that day. But this is why I really like these potassium dropperfuls. You can also get powders and things like that from Amazon, because if you buy the electrolyte packets that have a set amount of sodium and potassium, magnesium, you might not be getting enough potassium for your needs, or too much, or you may not need all the magnesium. So this is why I really like to make my own electrolytes. I use my Soleil and then I add the potassium as needed, because no, I don't need 4,700 milligrams of potassium a day, but some days I do need a little bit more than others. And again, having these ways to kind of microdose it and set it myself is extremely, extremely helpful. Another thing I get asked quite a bit is, how accurate are blood tests for potassium, magnesium? How accurate are those? And honestly, they're not really that accurate as far as knowing what your body is actually absorbing and using. The hair tissue mineral analysis is your own hair, and you take it from the very base of your head if you can. And that's actually going to tell you what your body is absorbing and using over the last 90 days. What's on a blood test is just what happens to be in your blood at that particular snapshot in time when you are taking that blood test. So if you're looking to really understand what the minerals in your body are doing, I do recommend the hair tissue mineral analysis over a blood test. Now, if it's an emergency situation, and you're going to the hospital because your electrolytes are tanking, then yeah, you can get some information from a blood test. But if you're kind of troubleshooting the way I'm talking about, then I would get the hair tissue mineral analysis. I also want to talk about magnesium. Now, this is the one I take. I take it before bed. It is the upgraded formulas magnesium. It has absorbed better than any other magnesium I've tried. My sleep is absolutely amazing, but I take it before bed. It's extremely helpful, and most of us are deficient in magnesium. Our soil, again, is extremely depleted, and so we're not going to be able to get adequate minerals from our food the way that we were able to, let's just say, 60 years ago. So most people are deficient in magnesium. And did you know that if you're taking a calcium supplement, you're going to be even more likely to be deficient in magnesium because calcium and magnesium balance one another out. So how much and how often? Now, I take my electrolytes throughout the day because you can't really take a bolus, most people, and have it work for your body the whole day. And a lot of times your body isn't going to be able to absorb all of those minerals at one time. It's like eating, all of your calories at one time. It's a lot harder for people to do that and be able to absorb all the minerals and the nutrients from that meal. So with my electrolytes, typically I wake up in the morning, I have a little bit of Soleil water mixed in with my regular water, a little bit of potassium, drink that slowly over 30 minutes or so, and then I will do the same thing again at lunch and then usually again at dinner. Now, if I sweat a lot more, if I do sauna, if I'm laying out in the sun, I may add a little bit more into the routine. So again, I think the electrolyte packets can be really helpful in a pinch. If I am in a pinch and just don't have time to do my routine, I do use LMNT. That's Rob Wolf's brand, and it is helpful. But I find that kind of microdosing my own potassium and sodium is a lot more helpful for me, and I get what I need a lot more. But again, if I'm in a pinch, I will go for those electrolyte packets, but I don't do that extremely often. All right, guys, I'm sure that there are more questions here. I'm actually going to link in the information section below for you guys the podcast I did with Barton Scott, who is the owner of Upgraded Formulas. So you can check that out for yourself, and feel free to leave me questions if you have some in the comments below. But I hope that I have answered a lot of the questions that I get about electrolytes clearly in this video. Please let me know if you have questions or there are other topics you guys want me to talk about. I am planning on doing a video about how to get into ketosis because that was a big question I got asked. So stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed and turn on your notifications so you don't miss that video once it comes out. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day. Bye.